Hi, Todd Pouliot, Gateway Financial. Again, feel free to visit us at mygatewaymoney.com. Today's video is one that really gets my juices flowing, because when we have potential clients who are going to be future clients of ours, they come to us with these questions. You know, I have all this employer stock inside of my 401k, and I've heard about something called NUA. And maybe I haven't heard about that, but they don't know what the taxation issues are and what this all means. And I'm going to talk to you, I guess, hopefully, we're seeing more people joining smaller startup companies over the years. And the startup company, let's say, cannot pay scale. So what they'll do is they'll alternate and put some company stock into the 401k to help supplement. Hey, we're going to be a big growing company. And here's an option we have for you. I appreciate that. I think that, you know, Sam Walton with Walmart did that many, many years ago, and it worked out for a lot of people. But what I want you to think about is, what is net unrealized appreciation? And I want you to think about, you know, why am I doing this, and how does this ultimately benefit my family? And ultimately, what does this mean down the road? So people can come to us up front and ask us, hey, this is an option I have through my employer, and I don't know what this means. And that's usually a better place to start, is to start planning on the front end. And sometimes we have prospective clients who become future clients who say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to be retiring and I have all this company stock. And now what do I do? So clients who own employer issued stock in a 401k plan may benefit from a favorable tax treatment under the NUA rules. Again, I'm going to say NUA, but it's net unrealized appreciation. But to qualify for NUA, our clients must satisfy several very important rules, and some of which are often misunderstood. So I hope you enjoy this video with me. I'm going to try to make it into a conversation where we can all understand this on a basic level. But again, if you have more questions, I urge you to go to our website, mygatewaymoney.com. We built this website with our clients in mind. It's not for us. And this flow chart that we have addresses some of the most common issues that arise. And there's 4 big issues that we want to talk about in this workflow. What type of stock qualifies? Triggering events that must be satisfied, timing considerations, and impact of cost basis and gain. So those are the 4 areas, and we're going to share our screen as we always do, so you can follow along with us. And these darker orange, yes, that's the, hey, we can't do it. And sometimes doing all of this work may not be to your benefit, but what we want to say is, we have a CPA in here in a house, and when we have these situations come up, we all get together. We get together, the client, the CPA, me, and this is not just about tax preparation, because tax preparation looks backwards. It's like being in a baseball game, after the game, looking at the scorecard and figuring it out. That the game has already been played. This is about the tax planning on how do I take advantage of the next series, game planning. And that's where we want to start here. Do you have employer stock or stock from a corporate reorganization, merger, or spinoff, if in an employer retirement plan? If not, sorry, can't do an NUA. This specifically involves employer stock. Is it phantom stock or stock options? I've done a lot of videos on stock options, ISOs and incentive stock options, RSUs, restricted stock units, non-qualified stock options. I've never done one on phantom stock options because they're very rare. And quite frankly, they're kind of a one-off situation. You really need to read the plan document. But phantom stock options really don't exist. They're kind of a on paper item as a deferred comp situation. So if it is, again, not an NUA distribution, again, this is employer stock. So do you have investments in the retirement account other than employee stock? And if you tell me yes, I'm going to applaud. And the reason is, it means you believe in diversification and not putting all your eggs in one basket. because years can go by and the stock from the company can devalue and could be bankrupt. So you've understood the fact that you're diversifying. So you might have mutual funds or ETFs or other outside of employer stock inside the 401k. Yes, if you do an NUA distribution, you can roll the non-employer stock investment into an IRA or an eligible retirement plan, or convert to a Roth. But I will tell you, we normally don't see the conversion because there's some taxes that need to be paid, and that would be a lot to swallow during that year. And then potentially minimize your tax liability. And then, was all or part of the employer stock distributed in kind to a taxable brokerage account? So what's happening here is we're taking your 401k and we're splitting it. And this is where you need to work with a firm who understands, the advisor really understands, along with the admin, and make sure they work really close with the record keeper of the 401k. Part of your assets are heading to an IRA or another retirement plan or some other. We're just going to use an IRA. And the other part, the employer stock, is being split off and heading into a taxable brokerage account. And a lot of people look at me and go, why would I ever do that? And we're going to continue in our flow chart and we're going to explain why you would do that. But understand, this is where I see the critical errors over and over again. Somebody works with a very uneducated person who is not familiar with NUA, and they send all the money to an IRA and they've blown up their NUA chance. And this is very critical to get this right up front. So again, up here, if there was no other investments, you would just send all the employer stock to that in kind to a taxable brokerage account. I must caution you, in kind, in kind, in kind. That means I am moving literally that one stock over to the other. Do not liquidate, do not buy similar, don't do anything else. It must be an in-kind transfer, period. Now, here's the triggering events. And this is the part most people kind of forget about, and sometimes you don't want to happen. So you must have a triggering event, such as death. Hopefully we're not having that conversation. Hopefully we're planning before then, but it does happen. A spouse will come to us. Separation from service, left at the employer, or reaching age 59 and a half. This is where the tax planning comes in. Get ahead, be ready for these triggering events. Yes. Was the entire vested account balance, not just the stock, distributed from the employer plan in a single tax year? If you come to us in December and want to do this, we will tell you we will not do it. It's not a good idea, because once you get everything rolling and moving, it may not be done until January, and that is not in a single tax year. Be careful. I see so many times people make this error because you have trailing distributions or capital gains or whatever inside of that 401k plan that are still going to be hanging around. Be careful. Make sure you do this right the first time. I still tell my daughter, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. Otherwise, you're going to have to do it again. So make sure you do it right the first time, because there is no doing it again here. If it was not done in a single tax year, guess what? Sorry, you do not qualify for an NUA. You must wait until the next triggering event before doing an NUA. And be careful when you call up on the phone to whoever's managing your 401k. Oh yeah, you can do this, you can do this. They are not liable for any errors. Guess who is liable? You, the taxpayer. And that can be a very bad tax torpedo on your plan. So again, the employer stock option, we got the single year in, everything's good. We've hit the triggering event. We understand where the flow is. We understand the mechanisms. So what I like to say is, this is like having a lot of spinning plates in the air. Make sure you have them all going at the same speed and understand them. So yes, you qualify for an NUA distribution for the portion of the employer stock rolled over to a taxable brokerage account. Continue on to determine the tax liability. And why this is important, I'm just going to use some very round numbers. I've got employer stock that has a cost basis of $100,000. That's now worth $1 million. This can be tremendous gains and tax advantages. So let's assume we're over the age 59 and a half. The cost basis of the shares, again, I said $100,000, is subject to ordinary income tax upon distribution from the retirement plan. So that's great. You know, I don't pay on a million. I'm only paying on 100,000. The unfortunate part, you are paying the ordinary income tax. This is why earlier I said I don't see a lot of Roth conversions at this point, because there's a lot of tax that may be due this year when we're doing the NUA. Second consideration, and this is why you want everyone at the table. You want me, the financial advisor. You want the CPA, the tax preparer. You may need an attorney there. You may need a healthcare person there because you might be at 65 trying to get on Medicare. And you need me as a tax planner as well. So if on Medicare, you may be subject to IRMA surcharges. Again, there's another flow chart. Will I avoid IRMA surcharges on Medicare Part B and Part D? Again, this is where it's very confusing for most people. And this is another spinning plate in the air. The IRMA, the income brackets are not the same as income. So IRMA is calculated in different brackets. So working with a really good tax planner can show you where those breakdowns are year by year, and they do change. So don't just sit this number and think in your head it's there. So that can be of another detriment to you doing the NUA. Then this is the big one. Unrealized gains that occur within the retirement plan will be taxable as long-term capital gains, regardless of the holding period, when the employer stock is sold. Boy, I'm in the 35% tax bracket, and I only have to pay 15% on that extra $900,000. This is a plan I am on board with. Because if I took that $1 million and I rolled it into an IRA each and every year that I took it out, I'd be paying 35% on the whole $1 million, rather than 35% on 100,000 for my cost basis, and then 15% on that other 900,000. That is amazing tax planning. Again, the tax planning comes to be the key here. So another big benefit that some people don't think is big, but if you've got another 900,000 at 3.8%, the Medicare surcharge is not there. It's not subject to that extra 3.8%. Amazing. So subsequent gains incurred beyond the date of the distribution will be taxed as short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains based on the holding period from the distribution date until the time of sale. So once we figure all this out, I'm going to retire in 2022, Todd, and then I need to figure out how to do all this and get it all done in 2022. And we do this, and we come up with a tax plan, and we figure out how you're going to pay all this tax in 1 year. Then we have to think about what's our long-term plan. Because if I do all this and then I sell January 3rd of next year and it becomes short-term capital gains, did I do the right thing? Anyways, that's tax planning. And that's what you really need to focus on. And the other added benefit is the Medicare surcharge. But if we wait for the following years, in addition, you may be subject to the 3.8% Medicare surtax. So a lot to do here, a lot of moving plates. And one thing I want you to really get out of all this is to say to yourself, I may or may not have a tax planning issue. I may or may not understand. This is a very complicated thing. And I hope you're reviewing these videos thinking, hey, maybe it's not my situation today, but I may need to learn about this later. Look for somebody who is a full-time fiduciary that works on your behalf. I know that word is getting thrown around a lot lately. I personally, in my humble opinion, if somebody says they're a fiduciary and they only act as a fiduciary 20% of the time in the benefit of the client, I don't think they're a fiduciary. That's my personal opinion. But I would want to work with somebody who's a full-time fiduciary that's always got the client first. And that's how it should be in our industry. Also, I like fee only. You know, we get paid by our clients. That's it. We do not take any subtext money from anyone else. It's a decision we made, and it's a decision we're going to stay with. And also, we're wholly independent, so we work with you. And if I've got questions about NUA and I can't figure something out, we have our CPA in house. We just say, I open up my door and I go talk to my CPA, and I say, hey, here's the issue. It's not an email, it's not a voicemail, and you get back a day or two later and you get those answers that you need. It's nice to have people that are here to work with you and to sit around the table with you and to come up with these plans. And NUA is extremely difficult to work through if you don't know what you're doing and if you aren't experienced in what you're doing for NUA. I just want people to really understand the triggering events, the timing considerations, the tax impacts that are there, and specifically what type of stocks qualify. And that's what we really need to focus on with this flow chart. So again, I just want to say thank you so much. The thumbs up, keep them coming. We love those thumbs up, and subscribe, because we're trying to bring you really good information and trying to bring it down to a level where the average person can understand it. And if you still haven't gotten it, get on our website, mygatewaymoney.com. Again, we built the website for you, and contact us and say, hey, I've got this issue. Here's what I'm looking to get through. And I've got some company stock and I really don't understand how that's going to play into my tax plan. And hopefully we can help you get to that plan in the future. But subscribe, ring that bell, and come back and we'll bring you some more flow charts. I hope you're all enjoying them, and thank you and have a great day.